Welcome back to my channel. Welcome to Ring Rumble, your home for the latest wrestling news, deep dive analysis, and the kind of storytelling breakdowns that peel back every layer of chaos happening in WWE right now. What started as an ordinary episode of Raw transformed into something far more dangerous and unpredictable, a night where Brock Lesnar struck from the shadows and Roman Reigns found himself blindsided in a way that signaled the beginning of a new, devastating chapter in their rivalry. What was supposed to be a routine show quickly escalated into a full-scale backstage crisis, one that sent security scrambling, caused superstars to scatter like they were fleeing a natural disaster, and left fans stunned as the early moments of what could become a legendary war began to unfold. This video unpacks every detail, every psychological beat, and every backstage whisper surrounding the brutal attack that now has the entire WWE Universe questioning whether Reigns and Lesnar are destined for one final, career-defining clash. To understand how we reached this point, we need to rewind the clock. Brock Lesnar has re-emerged in recent weeks with a level of aggression that feels almost primal, reminding everyone that his mere presence is a threat to anyone who steps into his path. He has stormed into segments, interrupted matches, and delivered beatdowns that feel less like wrestling storylines and more like warnings carved into flesh. Meanwhile, Roman Reigns has been navigating shifting alliances, subtle betrayals, and a WWE landscape that changes beneath his feet week by week. As these two icons moved through their individual arcs, their paths began crossing with increasing frequency, a silent build of tension that everyone felt but nobody could fully explain. Then came November 24th, 2025, a night that Raw stopped being a show and became ground zero for a storm. Lesnar returned. Reigns returned. Their confrontation in the ring was intense, but the real shockwave came after the cameras shifted away, in the dimly lit corridors where the scripts crumble and the consequences hit harder. Reports immediately began circulating about a savage backstage ambush where Brock attacked Roman with the ferocity of a cornered animal, a strike not just meant to hurt but to incapacitate, humiliate, and provoke. What fans saw online through shaky clips, eyewitness accounts, and grainy camera angles was a chaotic blur of violence. Roman walking calmly backstage one moment, then Brock exploding out from behind equipment crates the next, swinging first and giving Roman no chance to defend himself. The impact was so brutal that people working nearby claimed the walls actually shook, sending production crews scrambling for cover. When security finally intervened, Brock was already gone, leaving Reigns dazed, furious, and visibly rattled in a rare moment where the tribal chief looked human rather than invincible. These kinds of attacks blur the line between performance and raw reality. That's what makes them hit harder. The psychology behind Brock's ambush is one of the most fascinating parts of this unfolding story. Lesnar has always been a man of few words, relying on dominance rather than explanation. He thrives on unpredictability, on the ability to strike from nowhere and leave a trail of destruction behind him. By attacking Roman where he least expected it, Brock sent a message without speaking a single word. I am still the most dangerous force in WWE, and I choose when the fight begins. Roman represents everything Brock resists: the structure, the hierarchy, the legacy, the calm control. Attacking him backstage wasn't just a physical assault. It was symbolic, a direct assault on Roman's aura of authority. Brock wasn't just targeting the man, he was targeting the system, the image, the throne, the mythology of the tribal chief. Fans instantly sensed that this wasn't just another chapter in their long rivalry. This felt like a spark meant to ignite something bigger, darker, and more definitive. The WWE locker room reacted accordingly. Tension spread like wildfire. Wrestlers who normally joked around before their matches glanced suspiciously over their shoulders. Segments were rewritten on the fly because the mood of the arena had changed so drastically. What was supposed to be a balanced show filled with hype promos and storyline advancements suddenly shifted into something more dramatic and unpredictable. Social media didn't waste a second. Within hours, hashtags related to the attack went viral. Fans debated whether WWE was setting up the last ever Lesnar vs. Reigns encounter, speculated about WrestleMania implications, and argued about whether this rivalry still had new chapters left to write, or if this was the moment meant to tie everything together in one final collision. Inside the locker room, insiders whispered that Roman was beyond angry, determined to restore his dominance and reclaim his pride. Brock, on the other hand, was reportedly calm and focused, operating like a hunter preparing for the kill. The atmosphere of Raw changed fundamentally after this attack. No smiles, no comedic interludes, just the feeling that something dangerous was coming. From a booking standpoint, this incident is a creative goldmine. WWE now has the narrative justification for a massive, high-stakes blow-off match, the kind of encounter that demands a stipulation with no rules and no escape. A last-man-standing match, an Extreme Rules showdown, or even a no-holds-barred war would be fitting. The idea of Lesnar and Reigns facing off with no limitations, no interference, and no excuses is the type of match that sells out stadiums and headlines global premium live events. Storytelling-wise, it's perfect. Reigns embodies legacy, structure, and the lineage of champions. Lesnar is chaos, raw power, and destruction incarnate. Putting them in a match sparked by betrayal and ambush gives the rivalry a thematic resonance that could turn it into one of the definitive feuds of this generation. As the build-up continues, fans should watch closely for certain signals. Reigns may start appearing with visible bruises or perhaps a more aggressive tone in his promos, referencing respect, identity, and legacy in ways that reflect deeper emotional wounds. Lesnar may go unusually quiet, relying on silence, glares, and sudden appearances rather than words. His entrances may become stripped down and unpredictable, further emphasizing his threat. In the ring, expect more chaotic brawls, surprises, backstage confrontations, and tense standoffs that escalate toward their eventual collision. But WWE must be careful. This storyline has the potential to become legendary if handled properly, but it can also collapse if overbooked, dragged out too long, or given a weak finish. Fans have high expectations when two titans collide, especially when it might be their final chapter. If the result feels cheap or inconclusive, the backlash will be unforgiving. But if WWE commits to clear, decisive storytelling with visible consequences and true emotional stakes, this feud could become one of the most iconic of the decade. My prediction? This rivalry ends with one massive showdown at a marquee event, maybe WrestleMania, maybe Crown Jewel, where the stipulation is brutal and the finish is absolute. I predict Reigns will emerge victorious, not because he is stronger, but because WWE will likely push the final evolution of his legacy. However, Brock will not go quietly. He will push Roman to the edge of collapse, perhaps even forcing a draw in their first encounter to justify a rematch.